We are living in a world right now of constant messages, constant distractions, constant bombardment of stuff coming at us. Would you agree that every day there's political figures saying things, there's billionaires saying stuff that trigger people, there's news stories that are negative as anything, like you dream of it, it happens. You can't trust anything that you see or hear anymore because, well, AI. These days when I see a picture of something astonishing, I have to say, is that real? AI, is it real? Oh, it's real. Oh, man. That's the overarching macro stuff. On top of that, we've got bills to pay, people to feed, businesses to run, families to look after, partners to appease, goals to hit. All of this stuff competes for one thing: attention. Attention. You are in a room right now, which is about Attention 2026. And how attention is the new currency. It's been like this for a little while, but I really want to go a little bit deeper into this subject. Because the ability to be able to focus on what you want to be able to focus on when you want to be able to focus on it is a skill and an ability that I'm hoping you would all agree is an extremely useful thing to have, especially in this day and age with the rise of more and more AI, more and more bombardment of messages, more and more distractions. So you're in a room today about human excellence and how we can sort of model that and think about it in the context of attention and not letting our attention get abused on our behalf. And human excellence is the original purpose of NLP, neuro-linguistic programming, for those of you that don't know what that is or what that stands for. So today isn't persuasion. I'm not trying to persuade you. It's not debate. I'm going to be sharing stuff based on not only my personal experience, but in the field of psychology, my area of interest is everything to do with attention and the mind and psychology and these sorts of things. So that's where we're at today. So for those of you who are interested in psychology and how human minds work, you are in the right place. So again, thank you for being here. Just understanding how high performers manage their focus and modeling what already works in the world, what already works for human beings, will help you no end. This works best. When Darren Shaw shows up, it works best as a teaching room. One insight at a time. No emotional processing needed today. We're not traumaing and talk about problems and la da 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 da. Today is about a skill that I think is just so important, and I wish that more people would speak about it. Kids need it. How to focus. Adults need it. The world is overwhelming. We all need it. Business owners need it. How to focus on aspects of your business so you get things done. We all need it, don't we? Like being able to focus on what you want to focus on when you want to focus on it. It's got to be one of the most important things in life. More important than money. To get money, you need to focus. More important than just a generic concept of family. In order to look after your family or care about your family, you need to be able to focus. So I hope you can get as excited about the topic of attention today as I do. For anyone new, I'm Darren Shaw. I'm an NLP trainer. My focus is psychology, coaching, decision-making. I teach coaches how to coach. I teach hypnosis, I teach coaching, and I teach applied cognitive psychology. Been in the field of NLP for about 25 years. So the subject of psychology and the human mind, this is what I love. I'm extremely passionate about it. It's all I ever think about. I actually left the UK about 2 years ago, so I come and live in absolute solitude in Southeast Asia and just sit around just thinking all day and creating content just to promote and think about psychology. And everything that I share is practical and lived and supported by science and studies and all that sort of stuff. When I talk, I like to assume that I'm speaking to intelligent non-experts, people that are intelligent in whatever it is they do, but they're not necessarily expert in the stuff that I'm speaking about. And my aim is to speak to you in a way, assuming intelligence, for you to hopefully learn something or focus your mind on something that might not be something that you're already aware of. As long as I'm doing that, I've done my job. That's what I'm here for. Okay, cool. So let's jump into the first core idea. Attention is the new currency. That's the main theme here. You can save it, like money. You can invest it. You can waste it. You can waste your attention, can't you? The same things you can do with money, you can do with attention. You can spend your attention. You can put your attention wherever you want it to go. Now, put that to one side for a moment. I want to introduce something to you, which is a really, really important concept in the context of what I'm talking about today. And this is the concept of something called working memory. In some circles, it's referred to as short-term memory. In some other circles, it's referred to as the conscious mind. Basically, it's that part of your mind that you are mostly aware of in any given moment. For argument's sake, I might just use the word mind or mind space. Many words describe the same thing, mind space. Now, I don't need to tell you, because we all lived life enough. And again, you're all intelligent people. We all have a mind. And the space that your mind, your conscious mind, has in any given moment is limited in capacity. There's only so much information that your mind can hold on to at any given moment in time. There's a limit to how much you can hold in your mind at once. Lots of research from around about 1969 coming up to present day posits that information that you can hold in your mind at any given point in time is 7 plus or minus 2 bits of information. So that's between 5 and 9 pieces of information at once before your mind overloads and collapses upon itself. Okay? And that's called working memory. When there are things in your mind, this is called cognitive load. Now, I don't want to use too many jargon words today, but I just want to introduce a few to you. I've already given you 2. Working memory, that's your conscious mind in any given moment. And cognitive load. Cognitive load is the load, all the stuff that's on your mind. If you're focused on the problem in your relationship, that's one thing. And it might be complex, so it might count as 2 or 3 even. You're focusing on work or whatever it is you do or have done to make money, that's another thing. You're focusing on what Donald Trump said on the television or on social media yesterday, that's another thing. You've got the kids to feed, that's another thing. You've got your business to organize, that's another thing. The more things you've got on your mind, the more load there is, the more cognitive load there is. And again, your mind can only take so much. How full that space is, that's cognitive load. And here's the thing, when cognitive load is high, focus drops. Another way of saying the same thing, when your mind is full and overwhelmed and there's too much going on, it's more difficult for you to focus your attention on purpose. For those of you who are geeks in the room who are into cognitive psychology and that sort of stuff, when your cognitive load is high, your attentional control, your endogenous intentional control is less. This is why you become more vulnerable the more your mind is filled with distractions. Before I continue, I want to make sure, because obviously it's a one-way show at the moment, I want to make sure that you're with me. This is interesting. And Are you enjoying the show so far? We're only 14 minutes in, and I've got a few more bits of information to tell you, and I'm going to give you some practical stuff a little bit later on. Got an hour, got an hour, so I want to make this real juicy. For those of you that don't already know who I am, thank you, Dr. Katrina. For those of you that don't know who I am, my name is Darren Shaw. I'm an NLP trainer originally from the United Kingdom. Currently living in lovely Southeast Asia, where it's nice and hot every single day, living in solitude like a monk. It's beautiful. I love it. I'm a psychologist, and my specialist subjects, aside from NLP, are around the subjects of attention and focus. It's my favorite subject in the whole wide world. Now, quick reset for anyone joining. This room is about attention as a skill. I've already pointed out the fact that working memory, or your mind, is limited in how much it can hold at once, and that cognitive load fills it. A second core idea that I want to bring in. I learned all of this stuff before I started studying academically, NLP, psychology, different types of psychotherapy, counseling. Before I learned all that, I learned this stuff just in real life. I'm not going to bore you with my life story at the moment. But one thing I love about cognitive psychology and NLP is it gave me the language to describe something that I came to learn. I learned this stuff about attention in the best way. I learned about attention and focus in noisy environments with high pressure. Lots and lots and lots and lots of stuff going on. Lots and lots and lots and lots of pressure. I learned from a very early age, when attention slips, outcomes slip. When attention slips, when you haven't got control of your own attention, being able to focus it where you want and when you want, your ability to achieve things kind of goes down. So the second core idea that I'm introducing you to is something called submodalities. Those of you who studied NLP would already know what this is, but in short, what's submodalities? And this, again, I'm not going to get too technical, but these are the three main concepts I wanted to get through to you today. Submodality. Best way to explain submodalities is like this. Your mind, mainly your brain, gives information to you in terms of volume of, if I think back to a time when I had a conversation with my mother, I can hear the volume of her voice in my mind and the volume of my own voice. So your mind gives you information about volume, brightness. Sometimes I reflect on an old memory and the image is really bright, and sometimes it's really dim. Sometimes the image in my mind is very distant, and sometimes it's very close up. In NLP, these are referred to as submodalities. It's the finer distinctions of sensory experience. What feels loud and close takes up more space in your mind. You with me? If there's a situation going on, like I'm going through a breakup or a business is collapsing or something, whatever, the more loud the situation is in my mind, the more bright and vivid the situation is in my mind, the more of my space it takes up. When you lower the intensity of whatever the problem, distraction thing is, when you lower the intensity, you are lowering the load on your mind. Lower the intensity, lower the load. This isn't to say try to ignore your problems, get rid of your problems. It's to say problems are problems. Problems are things that come up every day. You're going to have problems. Get rid of one problem, you're going to get another. Or get rid of that one, you're going to have another. We're going to have problems until the day we leave this plane of existence. But if you can lower the intensity of your problems by making them less loud, less bright in your mind, again, you can lower the load, lower the amount of space that problems take up in the mind, and therefore reclaim some of your attention power. Again, if your mind is overloaded, it's harder to focus your attention. Anxiety and depression are, I don't want to go too much up this road today, but anxiety and depression are disorders of attentional control, for a simple line. Anxiety is what happens when the cognitive load in your mind is fear-based, and the cognitions that you have are fear-based. PTSD is a version of anxiety. Is obviously that involves more flashbacks and stuff like that. Right. These are disorders of attentional control. Depression is a disorder of attentional control. The difference between depression and anxiety is that depression is where your cognitions are more focused on negative things. Negative things. Nothing wrong with a few negative things in here and there, because we need to focus on things in order to resolve them. Nothing wrong with worrying based things here and there. We need to look at things that we need to worry about so we can resolve them. But obviously, when it becomes clinical, then that's obviously a different thing. Like I said, I don't want to go too much up that road, but I would argue, I mean, this is my personal opinion based on all the data available to me. I would argue that there's a lot of people in this world with undiagnosed, non-clinical worry or anxiety, and undiagnosed, non-clinical depression, focused on negative. And again, all of these things take up working memory space. Your working memory space. Another quick reset for late arrivals. Hello, everyone. Today, talking about how attention is the new currency, and how your mind space, or cognitive load is the technical term I introduced earlier, determines how you spend your attention and where you spend it. So the more stuff that's going on in your mind, the more your mind is filled up, the harder it is to focus your attention. Now, why is this important for anyone who's wondering, just in case anyone hasn't really clicked? The world at the moment is highly distracting. If you're focused on politics, whether that's in America or in England or even here in the Philippines or India or whatever, politics can take up mind space. Distraction. Famous people stuff takes up mind space. Life, bills, cost of living going up, constant things filling up your mind space every day. You think it's bad now? By the way, this isn't fear mongering. I just kind of want to warn you guys in advance, those of you who are paying attention anyway. Many of you guys are aware of AI, artificial intelligence. That's nothing. Recently, the CEO of Meta, the company that owns Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp, announced that pretty much soon, Meta and other huge technology companies, they're going to be focusing on something called super intelligence. Well, they're already focusing on it, so it's coming. It's almost here. Super intelligence. When I first heard the speech, I was like, what's super intelligence? I had to go Google it, and I spent about a week reading about it. Super intelligence is basically, just imagine 10 years from now, it'll be sooner than that, but just jump into the far-flung future. 10 years from now, social media will be able to do a much better job of being able to predict what you need before you're even aware of it. Companies will be able to control even more of what you see and how you experience it. This is super intelligence. Super intelligence will be able to control what you see, hear, feel, experience. All of the AI stuff that you see at the moment is moving towards that. Now, again, you don't need to get technical. You don't need to go out and buy a book on artificial intelligence, or you don't need to be scared of it. It's just that when the world gets to where it's going in terms of more AI, more super intelligence, more this, more that, more politics, more celebrities, more problem, more cost of living going up, more crime and bad negative things going on, the more this stuff is going on, the more you are going to need your attention. The more you are going to need your attention. There's one more concept that I'm going to give you today. I don't want to overload you guys with too much concepts. I've already included the subject of working memory. That's your conscious mind attention, which is limited in space. So your mind is limited in space. And then another concept of cognitive load, which is all the stuff that can be packed into your mind. There's a limit to that. And then the subject of submodalities, the more you lower the intensity of the stuff in your mind, the less space it takes up. But there's one more. I wasn't going to introduce this today, but I think it makes sense in the context. Then I want to say hi to others on stage. This comes from cognitive psychology. I'm going to keep this as simple as possible. There's two types of attention in you. Two. One is, I don't really want to use technical terms. One is attention that you choose to place on things. Like, oh, I'm going to focus my attention on that thing over there. I'm doing that. The other type of attention is when your attention is grabbed by things outside of you. Like a loud noise going off to your left, and you suddenly move your head to go and pay attention to it. You didn't do that. The loud noise outside of you did that for you. So one is called exogenous attention. That's the attentional capture. That's the one outside, and the other's endo. But you don't need to remember these things. I just wanted to get the generic idea. Two types of attention: the attention that you control, and the attention that is grabbed outside of your awareness. And I'm telling you, people, if you don't work on being able to focus your own attention on what you want to be able to focus on when you want and need to be able to focus it, there are marketing companies, governments, celebrities, famous politicians that are more than happy to capture your attention on your behalf and do as they want with it. Again, this isn't fear mongering. I'm not like, oh my, AI is bad, celebrities are bad, politicians. No. What I'm advocating for here and now is the focus that we now need to start placing, some of us, on learning how to control our focus so that we can place our attention where we want to place our attention. What's going on, Marvin? You safe? You there?
I'm here, absolutely. Listening in intently. Focus is something that I love to talk about. So absolutely enjoying the content. I'm keen to know some of the key things that you'd recommend to improve your focus, because I find them, and I'm sure other people in the audience find the same thing. Two things contribute towards you losing focus. One is obviously your surroundings, the people around you, the environment that you place yourself in, which to a certain degree you can control. But another thing that happens over time, and shout to everyone who is feeling Father Time leaning on their shoulder. But over time, your aptitude and your ability to focus changes. So I found, and you guys have heard me talk about this before, there's different things, everything from specific vitamins or whatever, or my health. I'm focusing on my health, but also little tools like the Pomodoro cube and things like that. What are some things that you would actually suggest that can actually help you as you feel your focus shifting over time? Because at the end of the day, yeah, I see you, Bessie, in the chat as well. Mindfulness, absolutely agree with that. I have an ice bath now, funnily enough, something that I've always thought was cool before, but until I actually had one in my house, I didn't really appreciate how it would help with focus and how it would help with clarity. Do you know what I mean? As much as I know it's not for everybody, it's one of the things that definitely helps me. And I think that's also an important thing to throw in the conversation. The fact that different people respond to different things when it comes to focus. So that's a question I'd throw back to you. I'd love to get some more insights into some of the things that you think can help people with focus over time. I don't want to derail your content path, but yeah, I'll pass that back to you, Darren.
No worries. And this is the content. We are the content. As long as we're staying on topic, I'm all good. Attention is the new currency. And that's just the generic frame, but that's all good. I mean, I've got a whole bunch of content, but it's fine. It's fine. Thank you for the question. I'll answer by saying I remember being a child and growing up with my mother. So, single mother, immigrant to the United Kingdom. And I remember in the 80s when I was a kid, I remember every now and again, my mum would be sitting there with her eyes closed and she would just ignore everything, including me, the victim of neglect. No, I'm joking. I love her. And I would ask her what that's about. And she'd say, leave me alone. I'm praying. Go away. And then we'd go to church on a Sunday. She'd be like the church on a Sunday. And when it was time to pray, and everyone in the room praying, she'd close her eyes or whatever. And I was like, okay. So as a child, I'm watching this and I'm like, what's that about? And she would frame it as she's talking to God and she's waiting for an answer, or she's talking to Jesus, she's waiting for an answer. It was her thing. And I was like, okay, that's interesting. Later on in life, my father came into the picture a little later on in life, and I noticed that my father, he's of a different religious thingamajig. He's Rastafarian, Bob Marley religion, for those that don't know. And my father, I noticed that he would often, when lots of stuff was going on around him and there was lots of problems piling on and the cognitive load was high, he would close his eyes. He would do some interesting ninja-like finger signal thing. And he would kind of say the same sorts of words over again, like speaking to God or speaking to Jah Rastafari or whatever. He would now and again, like now and again use cannabis to help shift his state, but not always. And he would do something, and he didn't call it, he called it meditation, Rastafarian meditation. I was like, okay, this is interesting. My dad's looks like behaviorally, he's doing the same thing that my mum always did. Interesting. Now, as a kid, I got into origami. Origami, the Japanese art of paper folding. Very good at folding dinosaurs and all kinds of things. And I noticed when I do origami, it consumes all of my attention. Nothing else matters. Get to shut out the outside world. And ages ago, I realized, oh, then these are all pretty much the same thing to a degree. There's obviously huge variations on the thing. And obviously somebody in the chat mentioned mindfulness. So mindfulness, meditation, prayer, origami, some people do yoga, anything that consumes your mind and takes your attention away from those intense problems that plague reality or plague your life. So basically, literally train your attention on purpose. Remember, I'm not sure if you caught it, Marvin, was saying earlier on, you've got two types of attention. The attention that is yours to control, you place that wherever you want to, and the attention that's captured without you wanting it to happen. The more you train your internal attention, in cognitive psychology, this is referred to as attentional control. The more you train your attentional control, train your ability to focus on whatever it is you want to focus on, the more sharp you will be. When I was a kid, there was another thing I did a long time ago. When I was a kid in high school, I used to do this martial art. And one of the things we did in this martial art, which I never quite understood at the time, but later on in life, I was like, wow, thank you for that. We used to spend time sitting in a circle, staring at a flickering candle in the middle of the circle. So that's what we had to do, stare at the candle, stare at the flame. And if our sensei, he walks around the circle and he looks at us, and if it looks like our mind or our eyes are moving our focus away from the candle, he would shout at us just two words: one direction. Not the pop band. And after a while, I became more scared of him shouting at me than I did of the pain of staring at a candle. So he made us do this week in, week out, week in, week out. I did this for years. And guess what? Later on in life, I'm telling you, I'm so grateful for that, because my ability, because origami and the candle and witnessing my parents were suffering from huge amounts of cognitive loads. The stress was high, hardcore pressure. But yeah, to answer your question, Marvin, and in a way where it covers what you said as well about everybody's different, you need to find your own thing, something that allows you to take your mind away from all of the things that have captured your attention and focus on something that you can fully get lost in and enjoy and be at one with, like fully immerse yourself. So Marvin, I'm not going to say there's any one thing. I would say find your one thing, that one thing that can enable you to allow your mind to be consumed. So those of you that caught the concept that I mentioned earlier on of working memory, your mind is limited in capacity. Your mind can only handle so much. Your mind can only handle so much in any given moment. After a certain point, your mind collapses, you suffer from overwhelm, and you can't think straight, can't focus, la da 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 da. So using that principle, find something and overwhelm your mind on purpose with one thing, and do whatever you need to do to disengage from things that are not useful, not relevant. I also want to throw something else in there as well. Before I hopped on a plane in 2024 to come over to the Philippines, I mean, I came over for about 5 different reasons, but one of the main reasons I came to the Philippines in 2024 was I noticed that everyone around me, 100% of the conversations around me, with everybody around me, everybody wanted to moan and complain and talk about and reflect on the exact same things. Some of you in the United Kingdom, you might remember in early 2024, people started rioting like crazy, firebombing hotels, wanting to kill the immigrants and firebombing police. After a while, I was developing new techniques for myself to disengage from conversations. But sometimes that's tricky because people think you're rude when you do that. When conversations people were starting to have with me would drift into noise, into things that I don't want to talk about and don't want to be a part of, I wouldn't argue. It took me a little while to do this, but I stopped arguing with people. I stopped debating with people. I stopped really giving them too much of my opinion about things. I would turn down the volume of the conversation in my mind and label it as one of those conversations I need to get away from, step away from it, step out of it. And when it got so intense, I realized that it was everybody. It was everywhere. And if it weren't people trying to have conversations with me, but then social media, people in text, it was mental. And I thought, you know what? I'm going to go live in solitude in the Philippines. And that's exactly what I'm doing now. I get the privilege of living in the middle of a jungle, just me and my cat. If I want to have a deep conversation, I'll have it with my 1-year-old cat, pregnant at the moment. But whatever it takes, the main thing is to disengage from what has been occupying your mind, which isn't necessary to have all of your attention on. If you can disengage, like I know some people whose lives are so busy, parents who've got kids and relationships and family stuff and work and all this stuff going on. They're so busy that the only time they can disengage from the world is the little 3 minutes when they jump into the car and they can take a deep breath, scream for a moment, focus. And that little 3 minutes a day is all they get. So whatever it takes for you as an individual to disengage, later on I'm going to be doing a bit of origami, a couple of things I need to quickly do on my laptop, but after that I'm going to take some bits of paper that I scribbled on some stuff earlier that isn't important anymore, and I'm just going to fold it up and just fold it into an animal or an old dinosaur or something and think about nothing else. For me, that's my meditation. Whatever it takes to change your state and shift into a state where external stuff isn't a problem, negative stuff isn't a problem, fearful stuff isn't a problem. Lots of studies have been done into the usefulness of mindfulness, prayer, meditation, all these sorts of things, music therapy, art therapy, all these sorts. Lots and lots of studies have been done into this, and there's lots of evidence to suggest that these things help with lots of mental health things. Disengagement, to sum up all of those things. So I'm sorry it's not a one clear answer, but that's the way I see the world. That's the way I operate. And these are the sorts of things that I encourage people to do. There's people that I know that are DJs in the United Kingdom, and they say to me when they DJ, they just block out the rest of the world. And I encourage them to do that. DJ more, play your music, get lost in your music. Woo! I know a guy here in the Philippines, he fixes mobile phones, and he just loves fixing mobile phones. And every time I see him, I encourage him to just carry on fixing those mobile phones, my friend. He's like, yeah, I love it when I get a new phone that's broken in new ways. And I'm like, dude, that's good. He's got a lot of stress at the moment. He's got a kid, a wife. He's got a new kid on the way. He's got a business, lots of stuff. But yeah, disengaging, whatever it takes to disengage. This is super basic NLP training. Attention comes before motivation. Attention comes before motivation. A question to ask everyone who might be listening to the replay or anything like that, and you don't have to answer me, but just conjure up an answer for yourself. Allow your attention to go inwards as you answer this question. Where do you notice your attention leaking lately? Where do you notice your attention leaking lately? And another question that's basically the same question, different words. What feels loud in your mind, considering all the other things that you really need to be focused on? What feels loud in your mind that doesn't need to be? Go ahead, Daryl. We haven't got long, so you got to keep it short. But go ahead.
Seeing my children.
Thank you. Things like that. I'm fully with you. Stay focused, my friend. Whatever it is you need to do to stay focused through this particular time until you get to the other side of it, do that. I wish you all the best in things. No real best with divorce and all this sort of stuff, but wish you all the best in that. But dude, I was saying when I was answering Arvin's question, find a way to focus your internal tension so that you, when you notice you're feeling not too happy, when you notice that you're not feeling too great or too focused or whatever, find a way to center yourself. I've got a feeling that you know for yourself what those things are. I'm not trying to give advice or anything here other than just suggesting you take your own attention and focus it where you need to be so you don't end up in too many unresourceful states. Because again, attention is the new currency. There's a reason that there's 3 billion human beings with accounts across Facebook, Instagram, and WhatsApp. We can have all these accounts for free on Facebook or whatever, for free. We're not paying for it, but we're paying with our attention. And because maybe on Facebook alone, there's probably around 2 billion accounts on there, because they've got so much of our attention, it makes Facebook worth billions of dollars, which means Facebook gets to sell its platform or access to its platform, access to your attention, because attention is the new currency. And again, I really want to repeat the part that I think needs to be salient in everyone's mind. As the world moves forward, especially with AI, artificial intelligence, and super intelligence, you and kids around you and people who you love, you need to be more in control of your own faculties. You need to be able to be even more in control of your own focus. These days, when somebody starts a conversation with me with Donald Trump, immediately my mind automatically goes into, oh Lord, I'll be polite and I'm going to pull away from this conversation at the soonest possible opportunity. Can't even talk about the Super Bowl without hearing Donald Trump said something like, crikey. Or a couple of weeks ago, actually Donald Trump again, or some things are going on in the UK. And once I've got the gist of what's going on in the story, after that, when somebody starts to try to start conversations with me, I've literally got this automatic machine in my mind that says, get out, move, come out of here, no, as polite as possible, because people can be triggered by you not wanting to engage in the thing, and you can lose friends and family, love like that. But as polite as possible, as quick as possible, I make excuses and I get out. Why? Because again, my working memory capacity, my mind capacity is limited. And I need my mind for things that I need to be focused on. So somebody's trying to hold my mind to ransom to talk about geopolitics or, I don't know, just general stuff that's bothering everybody in the world right now. I'm out of there. On that note, everyone, we are inside the last 2 minutes. I hope you have enjoyed this room and taken something away from it. I want to say a massive thank you to all of you who have been here today and anyone who might be listening to the replay.